All right, let's talk about something real. A 50-year-old woman finally realizing what femininity is after decades of being the man in her own relationships. Let's break this
Mia,
down.
Hi there.
hey, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. What you got for us?
I would love to comment on this. I'm 50
Okay.
and I have older children. I'm Dominican
Okay.
and I'm currently with my man who is African American. And we have a really good relationship. However, for most of my adult life, I was a very masculine woman. I was married to a feminine man. These are things that I came to know after doing a lot of self introspection, a lot of uh, studying and research with my current partner. And I've made a lot of changes to my life, but still, I find myself in a situation where learning at my age to be feminine, because honestly, I did not know what femininity even was.
Mm-hmm.
And that was hard to admit. I was brought up by my grandmother and my mom, but they were two very different generations. My grandmother taught me naturally how to be feminine, but I did not realize that. However, my mom, being a single mother, was very masculine. So, of course, I learned more from my mother than I did from my grandmother. And now I'm reaching in to what my grandmother taught me, reaching in and looking back and saying, oh my God, because now I'm with a masculine man who demands that I be feminine.
Okay.
And I can't say, hey, no, take me as I am, because he has improved himself as a man. Why shouldn't I improve myself as a woman?
Okay. So, is your man older than you?
No, he's actually 5 years younger.
So he's younger than you. Do either of you have children?
We do. We have 7 children between us both.
And how many of those are yours?
I have 3, and mine are grown. When I got my divorce, I actually waited to get my divorce until my last child was 18. I didn't want to bring other men into my children's lives. That was just me. That was part of what my grandmother taught me and my mom. And
So, so
I
let me
sucked it up.
so let me ask you this. So let me ask you this. What would you tell women in your position to do? They're single, out here on the market, and they're wanting to, because it sounds like you have a relationship that you're proud of. What would you tell women 40 plus that they need to do?
I'll tell you what, Kevin, I have a relationship that I'm proud of, but we struggle because of my stubbornness and because of the changes that I have to make. And these are things that I have to put in the work. So what I would
Talk to the 40-year-old version of yourself right now. I get that you
I
struggle. So
yeah,
talk to the 40-year-old version of yourself right now.
I would say if you want to get with a man who is a man of value, and you want to be that woman that uh, is lit and is catered to, then put in the work. Lose weight, which I did. I was very heavy. I
Okay.
was, yes, very heavy, and now I'm not. I put in a lot of work
Okay, so you
because
say
I
put on the
wanted a
work.
better
You say put in the work, lose weight. What did you have to
lose.
do about your social circle? The women you hung around with, whether your personal life or at work?
I had to cut my social circle,
Okay.
honestly,
What
because
about okay, so let me kind of make this a benefit to the audience. What about your presence online, Facebook, Instagram, chat rooms, that kind of stuff? What do you have to do?
I am not online very much. I have a Instagram and I have a Facebook, and I mostly put positive stuff. I had to really look inside and not go along with all the
So
stuff
what
that
about
my friends were putting up there,
what about any kind of coaching or counseling outside of self-taught or self-learned?
I don't have any, except for YouTube. I've listened to some YouTube mentors. I've read books. So I've
Okay.
kind of had to leave social media alone.
So let me ask you this. If you've already made changes, you've lost weight, got yourself in shape, you've cut your friends down, you've gotten off the toxic area in social media, you're learning. If you say you're still struggling and you know it and you're taking responsibility, why not go actually get some individual counseling for yourself?
That would be the next
YouTube
step.
is great.
Yes.
YouTube is
Yes.
great. Books are great. But because you openly admitted saying, hey, we struggle and it's because of me. So working with a professional could only do what?
It could only make things better.
All right. So and how do you think your partner would feel about if you decided to go get some help on your own?
I think he would be delighted. He would support me 100% because that would only make our relationship better. It would help us in our business. It would help us in life in general. We want to leave a legacy for our children and our grandchildren, and you can only do that if you work together. If what I'm learning is if I'm feminine, if I
So let me
my
let me let
lips
me let
and
me let me ask you. So are you online? Are you often watching shows online and things like that on YouTube?
yes,
Okay. So let's say you watch shows and you see things contentiously in the chat room. Do you ever speak out and say, you know what, ladies, I actually did this? Because
this
this
is
whole
actually
gender
the
thing.
first time I'm doing this.
Okay. So I would suggest also doing this because I can say what I want to as a man, but I can guarantee you that more women will get something out of hearing you say the things you struggle with and had to do. It'll be easier to listen to what men have to say when women actually start stepping in the gap and telling their own overcoming stories. Does that make
Yes,
sense?
that does. I've listened to Nicole Michelle as
Hmm.
well, and that kind of helped me on my femininity journey. And then the message kind of got confusing for me, and I kind of went a different direction.
Okay, and growth will always happen that way. But that would be
Yes,
my two takeaways. One, I'm a big advocate of individual counseling. I think everybody should go get their own therapy, especially for somebody like yourself who's already taken that kind of accountability. I would assume your partner, if you came home and said, baby, I went to counseling and I'm actually getting help with these issues, and you're not asking him to go, you're just going.
yes,
He probably even paid for it. Number one. Number two, when you're in these spaces, don't be silent. Be a voice for improving yourself as a woman and taking accountability. Because honestly, men like your man need help. They need women to actually step in that gap and say, we can be we can be different, we can be better. But I thank you for calling in. You have anything else you want to leave us
thank
with?
you for
Okay,
having me. No,
appreciate it.
I mean, the only thing that I would say to women is that, you know what, we have a lot of expectations for our men, but what expectations do you feel that they should have for us? Because there's a two-way street. It's a relationship, which means it's two people, and the only way that you can grow and be better is if both of you are good. I can't expect a 6 foot tall, six-figure income man if I'm a 300-pound woman who is unhealthy. And it's not about the looks, it's about your health and what struggles you put other people in, as well as yourself, because you're not healthy.
I
So you have to look into that and look into yourself, ladies, and do the work.
appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know what's interesting? It's when a woman reaches 50 and then realizes what femininity actually means. It's wild because that's something that should have been understood decades ago when her beauty, her youth, and her options were at their peak. But instead, she spent her best years being masculine, leading, competing, trying to be the man in her relationships, and now, when the clock has done what the clock does, she finally wants to rest in her feminine energy. And here's the truth, that switch isn't as easy as people think. You can't just wake up one day and say, now I want to be soft. Femininity is not a button. It's a mindset and lifestyle that takes practice, discipline, and humility to relearn. but I'll give her credit, at least she's acknowledging it. Most women never get to that level of self-awareness. The sad part is, now she has to rely on a man who's already seen both versions of her, the masculine one and the one trying to be feminine. That's a hard transition for any relationship to survive. At 50, it's less about finding new love and more about keeping peace in the love you've got. Because at that stage, it's not about I deserve anymore. It's about how can I bring peace, respect, and appreciation to the man who's still choosing me despite my past energy.